Today's video starts with an oil change for my SS1LE. However, the oil change isn't really the primary focus. Rather, this neat little gadget you see in front of you is the focus. If you're wondering what it is, it's an oil drain valve from a company called Stahlbus. Now, normally when you do an oil change, you take out the oil drain bolt, and especially with these modern cars, for some reason manufacturers have decided that they want oil drain bolts to point sideways instead of pointing down. So you get a sideways stream that makes a bit of a mess as it comes out. It's kind of hard to avoid, and you almost always end up with oil on the floor, which I'm sick of doing, and I'm sick of having my garage floor coated in cardboard so that I can do all these fluid changes and not dirty my floor. So in an effort to get all of that junk out of my garage and not have to deal with the mess, I've gotten this. And you're wondering, how does this solve the problem? Well, actually pretty simple. You see this has a little check valve of sorts built into it. So when this is in the car, oil can't come out. If you want to drain the oil, you take this guy and you clip it in here. All right, push it in, turn it, and then you'll have a flow of oil coming out of that tube. That means that you can have that tube inside your drain pan ahead of time, and that means that no oil has to get on your floor ever again, which is an amazing invention. There's similar things on the market. There's a very popular one that has, and it's what I always kind of thought of, it's almost like a little valve that you just open it and it drains out. My problem with that is obviously that something could knock a little lever and cause oil to start leaking out of your car when you don't want it to happen. A lot of people run them successfully and it's apparently never happened, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, right? Nothing ever is going to come off the street that can do this and cause this to leak. Plus, there's a protective cap. So I'm going to be installing that in the Camaro today, and hopefully that is going to resolve a big issue for me. Now, I've gone ahead and ordered the size that I saw online would be correct for my car. Hope I've not made a mistake, or this is just going to be another boring oil change. So here's my usual oil change setup for this car. I've got a socket wrench with a 15mm socket on it. That's to remove the oil drain bolt. I've got the AC Delco PF64 oil filter. Apparently these are made in China now, so when you get the box, you're gonna see some like Chinese letters on it, kanji, I guess the Japanese would call it. Not sure what the proper reference would be in Chinese, but there you go. It has those symbols on top. Don't freak out when you see it. It's not a knockoff. That's actually being made in China now, apparently. And I have two 5-quart jugs of Mobil 1. This is a Dexos 2 rated 5W30. If you want to know the right oil for your car, the manual will tell you that. If you're going to track, this would not probably be the primary choice, but for street and the occasional autocross, it's manageable. It's pretty much what I've always run is 5W30, and I've done a ton of autocross. Again, follow your manual, don't do what I say. If you ultimately want to be safe, I make no guarantees that your car will perform the same as mine does, so just keep that in mind. Between the OEM drain bolt and the aftermarket one would be massive, and it is a little bit unsettling that it's so much shorter, but I do know that it has a seal, and It has a valve, so here's hoping that this pans out. I would really hate for this thing to fail on me. Stahlbus has a very good reputation. I hope that's not the case. I don't expect it to be the case. It is a little unsettling, right? This replacing the motor in this car right now is 15-20 grand easy if I had to guess. So I'd rather not have to spend that money based on this little swap. So I'm gonna take a risk here, and I'm gonna take one for the team and do it, and I will let you guys know how it goes long term. All right, so using a 19mm socket, I'm just gonna manually thread the Stahlbus oil drain bolt in. We'll wipe that surface slightly just before. Now, I searched online and I saw that the torque for those bolts is 18 foot-pounds. So I'm probably gonna try to torque it with a torque wrench to that. I'm a little scared, obviously, because this is hollow, but all the same, 18 is not that much. Okay, let me just manually thread it first. And once engaged, I'll turn it here. Alright, put it in by hand. Everything looks good. Don't see any drama. Now, set the torque wrench, and that should be that. And that is a good indication of why you should never over tighten these things. The torque spec is only 18 foot-pounds. Like, that is really, really light normally. There we go, 18 foot-pounds. You could literally go way beyond that by hand. Now, as with any oil change that you perform, you want to dip your finger in the new oil and lubricate this ring that is around the top of the filter, and lubricate the threads as well. That will guarantee a good seal and easy removal in the future. And I always say this, when you install this, tighten it down with one hand and one hand only. That way you can only apply so much force that next time when it's time to remove it, if you got to put two hands on it, it should be easy to remove, right? You don't want to really overturn these. Most people, I've seen online recommendations where they're like, you turn it until it's snug and then you go a quarter turn on top of that. There's a bunch of rules of thumb. Just tighten it down till this is compressed and sealing, but not till it's ridiculous to where you're gonna need, you know, to beat a screwdriver through this in order to turn it and remove it the next time you go to do an oil change. Now that everything's installed, I'm gonna pour in my new oil, and then I'm gonna go underneath the car and check for any leaks. Nice thing about the Camaro is it takes 10 quarts, so there's not much calculation to do. You just pour in all 10 quarts. Right, I have a lot of cars. I think my truck takes 5.5 or something like that. So you gotta pour in one of these, and then you gotta measure out half of the other one. And what I end up doing is I kind of eyeball it, and then I go and just run it for a little bit, and then check the dipstick to see that it's full and not above. You don't want to be above either because it's not good for your seals. Alright, before I pour in the other jug, I'm going to go underneath and check for leaks. And if everything's good, then I'll come back and pour the other one. So a quick trip underneath the car showed that there are no problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour out my next bottle of oil, and then I'm done with this project. I just have to reset the computer so it knows that it has fresh oil. All right, with all that done, let's turn this guy on. Going to the oil life, we'll push down on select. And that's that. We're now at 100%. If you guys have enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I post up another one. I'm definitely going to be following this up with a future oil change video, just where I show you how easy it is to do with the Stahlbus drain valve in place, and also any impressions or any issues that I might run into. I'll be sure to be very clear with you guys on that. So I'm kind of offering to be the guinea pig here, so you guys know whether or not this is a safe mod. Stahlbus has a great reputation, as I've said. They're a company out of Germany. They're very well known, so I trust them, and I think that this was going to be completely fine. But I'll let you guys know. If you have any feedback or any questions, feel free to leave that in the comments section. And as always, thank you guys for watching.